Hello everyone, my name is Fabio and I'm here today to support you in your preparation journey for the C2 Proficiency exam. In this video, we're going to explore part 5 of the reading section, one of the most critical parts of the exam. If you have struggled, like me, with this section before, don't worry. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear strategy to approach it with confidence. In part 5, you'll be given a passage followed by multiple choice questions. 6 multiple choice questions. Your goal is to analyze the text carefully, understand how the author constructs meaning, and select the most accurate answer. But before we tackle the questions, let's first ensure we have a solid approach to reading and interpreting the passage effectively. To help you succeed in this section, let's discuss 5 essential strategies that will guide you through the process. First, read the passage as a whole before jumping into the questions. This initial reading will provide you with a broad understanding of the narrative, the characters, and the main ideas. Skipping this step might leave you missing crucial context elements. As you read, pay attention to the keywords and paraphrasing. The correct answer may not match the wording in the passage exactly, so be on the lookout for synonyms, expressions, or rewarded concepts that capture the very same idea. Once you start answering questions, use the process of elimination. If an option contradicts the passage, introduces extra details that aren't really there, or simply doesn't make logical sense, cross it out. This strategy helps you narrow down your choices and increases your chance of selecting the right answer. Another key element is time management. Aim to spend about 10 to 12 minutes on this section. Devote 3 or 4 minutes to reading the passage thoroughly, then 1 or 2 minutes per question to analyze and choose the correct answer. If a question seems difficult, mark it and return to it at a later stage. Finally, if you're uncertain about an answer, reread the relevant section of the passage. Sometimes a second look at the text can reveal the details you initially overlooked. Now, we delve into how to answer questions by applying these strategies. These will help you recognize patterns that align with the strategies we've just discussed. Before we jump into the questions, let me give you a quick overview of the passage. It's from the middle of things, chapter 1, Faced with Reality by Joseph Smith Fletcher. The story focuses on a conversation between Viner, a man of leisure, and his aunt, Miss Penkridge. Viner enjoys reading sensational crime fiction to his aunt, who absolutely loves it, but he finds it completely unrealistic. The passage explores their different views on fiction and reality, so as we go through the questions, keep this contrast in mind. Now, before tackling question 1, stop the video and take the time to read the first part of this passage. Stop the video if necessary. Great. Now, let's have a look at question 1. What problem did Viner have with reading to his aunt? Option A. He didn't like the time he had to read. Option B. He didn't like her drinking port. Option C. He didn't like the books. Option D. He didn't like the location. Now, think about Viner's attitude towards reading to his aunt. Did he complain about the timing? Was it the setting, the books themselves, or something else? Now, the passage states that Viner thought his aunt's taste in novels was limited. This clearly indicates that his issue was with the books, not the time, place, or her drinking habits. Therefore, the correct answer is he didn't like the books. Here's the strategy we have used. Finding key details in the passage. So, let's now have a look at why the other options are incorrect. He didn't like the time he had to read. There's no reference to him disliking when he had to read. Next, he didn't like her drinking port. Her drinking is mentioned, but not as an issue for Viner. And finally, he didn't like the location. The passage describes the setting, but Viner does not express dislike towards it. Now let's turn to question 2. What most drove Miss Penkridge's taste in novels? Before having a look at the different options, read the passage first, so stop the video now. Great, excellent. Now let's have a look at the different options. Option A, what she had read before. Option B, what was available in the library of the large house. Option C, what Viner had available. Option D, what kept her awake at night. Now, let's think. The passage states that she was brought up in her youth on Miss Breton, Wilkie Collins, and Mrs. Henry Wood. This confirms that her reading preferences were formed early on by the books she read as a young woman. Therefore, the correct answer is what she had read before. Here's the strategy that we have used: paraphrasing and keyword matching. Now, let's have a look at why the other options are incorrect. What was available in the library of the large house? There is no mention that her choices were limited by availability. What Viner had available? While Viner reads to her, her preferences were already established. What kept her awake at night? Yes, she enjoys mysteries, but the passage doesn't suggest that's the main reason she chooses books. Now, let's turn to question 3. What is closest in meaning to burning in paragraph 2? Take the time to read paragraph 2 before looking at the different options. Stop the video now. Great. So now let's have a look at the different options. A, confusing. B, unsolved. C, passionate. D, action-filled. Now, let's analyze the word burning. In the passage, it appears in this phrase: for the creator of a plot who could keep his secret burning to his last few sentences. What does burning mean in this context? Does it mean something is confusing? That it remains unsolved? That it's full of passion? Or that it's action-packed? Take the time to think. The phrase refers to the idea of keeping a secret intact until the end, meaning that it is unsolved until the final moments. Therefore, the correct answer is unsolved. The strategy that we have used is contextual meaning analysis. Now, let's have a look at why the other options are incorrect. Confusing. The passage doesn't imply confusion, just secrecy. Passionate. Burning here is not about passion or emotions. Action-filled. The word relates to secrecy, not action. Now let's turn to question 4. What were Miss Penkridge's feelings towards the author of the most recent book that Viner read for her? Before having a look at the options, stop the video and take the time to read the passage. Great. Excellent. Now let's analyze Miss Penkridge's reaction. Did she express frustration? Was she eager to read more? Did she feel misled? Here's a guiding question. What did she say about the book at the end? The passage states, "Richard, you'll get all the books that man has written." This clearly shows enthusiasm, meaning the correct answer is she wanted to read more of his work. The strategy that we have used is finding key details in the passage. Now, let's have a look at why the other options are incorrect. She was exhausted by his plot twists. No indication of exhaustion, just excitement. She felt deceived by him. She enjoys being surprised rather than feeling misled. And finally, she already knew his books well. The passage implies she had just discovered the author. Now let's turn to question 5. What is Weiner's fundamental objection to the fiction that his aunt likes? Before having a look at the different options, stop the video and take the time to read the passage. Great. Excellent. Now let's have a look at the 4 different options. Option A. The endings are too exaggerated. B. It is too dissimilar to Miss Penkridge's life. C. It's all the same. D. It's unrealistic. Now, let's think about Weiner's attitude here. Does he criticize the endings? The similarity to his aunt's life? The repetitiveness of these books? Or is he more concerned about whether they reflect reality? Think. The passage states, do you really think such things happen in real life as those we've been reading about? This clearly indicates that Weiner's main complaint is that these books are not realistic. Therefore, the correct answer is, it's unrealistic. Here's the strategy that we have used: identifying tone and attitude. Let's have a look at why the other options are incorrect. The endings are too exaggerated. While his aunt enjoys surprises, Weiner's complaint is broader. It is too dissimilar to Miss Penkridge's life. His concern is about fiction versus reality in general, not her personal experiences. And finally, it's all the same. He critiques realism, not repetitiveness. Now let's turn to our last question, question 6. What sense does the narrator want to give with the comments about Weiner's library and his reading? Before having a look at the different options, stop the video and read the last part of this passage. Great, excellent. Now let's have a look at the different options. Option A. He has a sheltered life. Option B. His life is different from his aunt's. Option C. His life is very dull. Option D. He hasn't read enough cheap fiction. Now, how does the narrator portray Weiner's experience? Does he suggest that Weiner lacks exposure to real life? That his life is simply different from his aunt's? That he's bored? Or that he should read more fiction? Let's have a look at what the passage states. He knew more of his own library than of the world outside it. This suggests that he has lived a sheltered life, making the correct answer A. He has a sheltered life. Now, here's the strategy that we have used: character description analysis. Now, let's have a look at why the other options are incorrect. His life is different from his aunt's. While true, The passage focuses on his lack of real-world experience. His life is very dull. The passage doesn't imply boredom, just isolation. And finally, he hasn't read enough cheap fiction. The issue is not about fiction type, but about real-life exposure. We have now completed the analysis of all the answers, and as we approach the end of this video, let's take a moment to reflect on what we have learned today. We have applied a variety of strategies: keyword matching, paraphrasing, elimination, and contextual meaning. Throughout this analysis, we've seen how important it is to break down each question logically, refer back to the text for evidence, and use elimination to rule out incorrect answers. Whether it's finding synonyms, recognizing paraphrasing, or analyzing character descriptions, these strategies will help you approach Part 5 with more confidence. Remember, practice makes perfect. So keep working on similar passages, and soon these methods will become second nature. If you have found this breakdown useful, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more exam strategies. Thank you for watching, and best of luck with your exam preparation. Keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next lesson.